All right. I think our live button says we're live. We're having too much fun back here in the green room, Wayne.
Yeah, yeah. As technical difficulties, as they say.
Always, always, always. All right. So we're gonna give folks about a minute or so to log on the stream because I don't think I even see it on LinkedIn as yet coming up. So I'm gonna give it a few seconds,
Yep.
and I'm going to ask because there's like a 20-second delay, as I always say, and I'm gonna ask as you are logging in if you could just tell us where you are watching from, what city, what state, what country. Yeah, I just saw it live there on LinkedIn. So I imagine it will be live as well on Facebook and YouTube. So if you're just popping on here, go ahead and just tell us where you are watching from, what city, what state, what country. We had a 5-minute technical delay again this week. I think everyone's on the internet. I think maybe because it's Christmas. I don't know. But we want to continue our discussion on AI. Hello, Aaron from Orange County, Workforce 2.0, Adapting to the AI Era, Part 2. Hi, David. Good afternoon again, David. Good to see you again. Tamara, good to see you from Scottsdale, Arizona. Sunshine Berry from Boise, Idaho. Thank you for being here. We're continuing our discussion. We have a part two of AI, adapting to AI in the workforce. Good to see some of you guys back here again. Matilda, Flutura, Melinda, Marvella. Nice to have you guys here. We were about 5 minutes late getting on here. So we're going to give you folks another minute or so. Last week, I actually had 10 questions I wanted to cover, but the discussion only allowed me to cover 3. So I'm going to stick to 3 questions this week. And of course, we will take your questions too and your comments. So we will get into it in a second here. Good to see you, Roy and Cruz, and Ireland is in the house. Hey, Ireland. Good to have you. All right, Wayne, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Feeling good.
All right, excellent, excellent. Now, off the bat, I just want to remind everyone, Wayne and I are not experts at AI. We use AI, we use especially, the ones that are, available to everyone, Chat GPT, the ones on Bing, the ones on, in your email, in your web browser. We use them all. And so we also are students students of the AI evolution. And so we keep up to date on it, and we're seeing certain trends, and we just kind of wanted to bring that to the forefront and then to just talk about it a little bit with everyone, because everyone has their own opinions of AI, how they're using it, how they're not using it. And so we just wanted to share our thoughts on it. We did that last week. We were supposed to do a 30-minute show. It ended up being 53 minutes, but we're going to try to keep this to 30 minutes today. So, all right, with that being said, I think we have enough people here watching. And of course, if you're watching today and it's after 3 p.m. Eastern, you are #team replay. #team replay. So, David, I know I already see you, right? I already see you getting ready to get us going. All right. So, I want to ask question number 1. So, can you share some examples, right? I think that no. Many people are concerned about the potential job displacement due to AI, and what strategies can individuals and organizations adopt to prepare for these changes. And we were talking about this before, and we came up with 3 strategies that we think would work. So I'm going to have you explain those 3 strategies.
Yeah, well, you kind of coined them, Sharon, the 3 C's, and you can elaborate, but 3 things that start with C words, which will make it easy for folks to remember, right? You could make these notes. The first one is communication. So you're going to have to really get very clear about your communication, both kind of about AI to the people who you're working with, but also as you work with the AI yourself. And one big area of that is in the writing skills,
Mhm.
which I found in the era before AI was an area that was always really challenging, right? And it was an area that we were always trying to work with our teams to just get better at that, to better express yourselves, whether in internal communication, external communications, et cetera. But now we're talking to this machine learning, this collective knowledge base, and we're going to have to really learn some skills about how to communicate properly um, into that environment, and then how to translate the information coming back.
And I want to
So we
just,
could start there.
yes, I want to double down on that, Wayne, because I know the people here who are watching, they're at different levels, right, of their use of the AI, right?
Yeah.
And it's very important, the one about the communication. And I'll give you an example. So today I wanted to use ChatGPT to help me with something. And I tried 3 or 4 different prompts. It just wasn't, it gave me something, but I didn't like it. I didn't like how it sounded, and I felt like I was going to have to put in a ton of work, right? So I might as well do it myself, right? And I make this point because ChatGPT can be very helpful, extremely helpful. However, it is not going to be the end all be all of communication. So if we think that we can just rely on ChatGPT to give us efficient work, we're wrong. We're going to have to level up our own communication skills. And I think ChatGPT can help us with that because it gives you a good base, but we have to go beyond the base it gives us, right? So I rejected the offers from ChatGPT today, and I was in my website and I saw that they were also offering AI services. So I pumped in my info, my prompts, and exactly what I wanted into Wix's AI prompter, and it gave me something that was much more in keeping with what I wanted. The point is, if I don't have good communication skills, I won't know what I'm even looking for. So we have to sharpen our communication skills both in writing and also in our understanding as well.
Yeah. And I heard you refer a couple of times, Sharon. You said you wrote a prompt
Yes.
for the AI and it didn't work. And so then you tried it in another AI environment and it worked much better. And again, people who are listening to this broadcast are at varying levels of how much they're working with the AI tools, how much they know about it, et cetera. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that piece. Just
Yes.
what do you mean when you said you wrote a prompt?
Okay. So when I'm, using the AI, but it's ChatGPT, Bing, or whoever, I get very specific as to what I want. So my prompt is my communication to the AI. Hey,
Right.
ChatGPT, I want an email that's going to this particular audience. These are their likes and dislikes. They're leaders, managers, team members, and they're also unemployed. And I want this language to be motivational. And this is what I want to cover. I want to cover these points. I mean, I give it a lot of information. And then this is what it comes back. Sometimes I write the email myself, excuse me, and say, Chat GPT, refine this. But I give it a lot of data. Excuse
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. And
Excuse me.
I'll give you a for example. We were getting ready to work with a client, and we were going to work with a particular workbook or a particular book that's a management book. And there was allegedly some workbooks that went along with it. But when I went to go take a look at the workbooks, by just reading some of the excerpts from the workbook, I could tell it had been someone being very lazy with AI, because the moment I read it, I can tell that, it was AI language, or it was heavily AI influence. And I immediately didn't trust it. So that's some of what we could think about when we are writing the prompts, when to get the information out, or when the information comes back. How are we handling that information? Are we putting it through the test? Are we just copy and pasting and then sending it off to how we're going to really improve on that communication?
I'm glad you mentioned the word language. AI has its own language. And the more you work with AI, the more you know its language. And the more you can identify its language in other people's writing, which is why, back to that first C of communication, it's important that you also have good both verbal and written communication skill. And I say verbal because AI has now, gone to that next level where you can actually talk, to your avatar, the voice person that you choose in the AI. And so if you're not able to verbally communicate what you want, it's going to be garbage in and garbage out, because now you can actually do AI on the go. Hey, AI, chat GPT, you can literally talk your prompt in. So, improving your own communication skills is going to be very, very important to get the best out
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, it's amazing to me how much, it's that old adage, no matter how much things change, they also remain the same. So yeah, we're in an AI environment, and yes, a lot has shifted, right? Some people would say it's like a tectonic shift, but some of the old stuff still um, applies, like garbage in, garbage out, right? That
Absolutely.
didn't change, right? And so we're
That's
not gonna. It's not like this magical solution that we just pump in whatever, and then whatever comes out can just be reused so easily. All right, so that was the first C. The second C that you were sharing with me, Sharon, is creativity. How can
mhm.
people think creatively about their jobs and about their positions with the use of AI?
Yes. And I think creativity is so important. I used to say I'm not a creative person because I thought of creativity as, gee, you can really design something or whatever. But it's really how you design your mind too, how you think. And I
Right.
think that AI right now is a level playing field for everyone, right? So, how are you going to use it in a way that other people aren't using it? Now, I've heard people send me information, they said, hey, I'm using my AI to make money. How? I'm using my AI to create online courses. I'm using my AI to, because I guess you have some avatar now that actually can speak, so you're not going to be using your own voice. So, how can you creatively use AI to enhance, what you do and even who you are, to enhance your brand, to enhance your, your communication? So creativity, whereby everyone's, so like I said, it's a level playing field. Everyone's right here. What are you doing to go here, even with the AI? What are you doing?
Yeah, I would say one of those things that we could put on the table is experimentation,
Yeah.
um, using some curiosity and pushing it to see where you can go with it. I think there's still many of us who are somewhat afraid of it.
Yes.
It's like, maybe if I stay over here doing what I'm doing, this will go away and I
Right.
won't have to know it, right?
Yeah.
but but
Yes.
but, but that's not really going to be the case. At least I don't think so. No one knows the future, but from what we can see, this is not going away. So ignoring it is really not the answer. A better answer is to embrace it and to test it, to use the AI to run certain scenarios by it, to see what kind of information you get back or what kind of assistance you get back. Then you could seriously think about, oh, wow, I was really good at this, not so good at that. So, how can I use the parts that's really good to get me a result that either I want or my team wants or my boss wants or whatever?
And it's to David's point. He says, okay, sorting out what we want AI to do. And I think I like the what we want part of this point David is making, because it's not like AI is our boss. And I know people are afraid it's going to be our boss one day. I know all of that
Right.
talk, AI gone rogue and so on and so forth. But I think as long as we keep maintaining is what we want, how we want to use it, how we want to use the computer, how we want to use AI, it's going to be important that we remain in control. And there's a third C, Wayne.
Yeah. The third C is competence, which is
Yeah.
all about learning and or knowledge, right? And I was sharing with you, I forget who the quote is, but I won't quote it, but it goes some to the effect of, in past eras, right, the illiterate were known as people who didn't know how to read. But in the era we're in, and in this post AI era, the illiterate of the world won't be those who just don't know how to read. It will be those who don't know how to learn and
Mm-hmm.
how to unlearn, and then also how to relearn. So maybe we could, talk about that a little bit.
I love the unlearn, right? How to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Because that's exactly the era we're in right now. And you and I attended a wonderful event this past weekend
Yeah.
with amazing speakers, leaders, people who are multi-millionaire. And there was one theme, the entire 8 hours were there. And it's like gain knowledge. And I'm thinking to
Right.
myself, wow, I mean, these people are at the top of their game, top of their industries, right? And they keep saying this thing. They had to gain knowledge, gain knowledge. Everything was about gaining knowledge. And I think that's so important. And here again, too, you know, with the unlearn, relearn, and learn again, I think AI can help us gain knowledge, but we also have to gain knowledge ourselves about the AI, right?
Right.
So to really succeed with it is we have to become really competent, right? We have to become knowledgeable. And, you know, we talked a lot about embracing last week, and we're touching on that again this week. But, you mentioned the word curiosity too, but we have to become competent, gain the knowledge. Hey, there's a lot of AI newsletters, that email newsletters that comes to my inbox to see what's the latest trend, what's happening. And that's how I'm learning. I'm learning it because stuff is popping into my inbox from people who know much more than I know. And so the knowledge is out there and it's free. So there's really no excuse.
Yeah. I know last week, some of the stuff we didn't get to touch on is in this next question. People are asking about bias, right? And ethics. And so, issues like of bias, you're dealing with an AI, which is a collective intelligence, but it's going off of information, right? So it's getting its information from, our, collective inputs here. So there are questions about how does bias creep in, and what are the ethical limitations or standards that we should be considering as we use these tools, behind the scenes, right? Whether we're in full disclosure with our clients or with whoever we're working with or whatever. So what steps can be taken, Sharon, to ensure, that there's, fairness and ethical use of these technologies as they emerge?
So I've heard this whole buzz about the bias, right? Because there's bias against maybe
it's a robot. How can it be biased?
Yes. Again, garbage in, garbage out. But the AI is based on our collective knowledge, right? And collectively, as a society, as a world, of course we're biased, right? There's a lot of bias against minorities and so forth, right? Minorities, LGBTQ, etc., you name it. But here's the truth, Wayne. There's been a lot of pushback against DEI initiatives, right? And I would just say how you can spot bias in AI. How you can spot bias in AI is if your organization, if your organization does not embrace diversity, you're going to be blindsided by AI because you won't know what's bias. Because it's going to be groupthink. Everyone's in the same mindset.
Right.
However, if your organization is diverse, I wouldn't be worried about the bias because it would be spotted, identified, and dealt with when it shows up. But if you don't have a diverse workforce, you won't know. And I was sharing with you the example some years ago with Dove soap, and I forgot they had a marketing campaign, and something that they did was very offensive to Black women. I can't remember. It was an image that they used. And when it boiled down to how could this have happened, there was no woman like that at the table.
Right.
When they were launching the campaign, there was no representation. And so it was not intentional. They weren't intending to be racist or whatever. It came across that way because of lack of understanding. So AI bias is going to be there because, again, it's a collective knowledge of what the world has been up till now, and it's been biased. But if you have a diverse group in your organization, Wayne, that can be identified. So there's and I always say this thing, there's a real business case for diversity. It's not a political statement. There's a real business case for diversity.
Right. Yeah, that's good. That's good. And what about on the, and I don't know, maybe you want to get someone's comment in there.
Someone says, Cruz said, there's no point staying in a stage of denial. Absolutely. It's better to be proactive and start learning what's available. I mean, totally in agreement with that. And
Yeah.
I think, we had done like a bit of a starter. I did a
Yeah.
PDF, just like 5 or 6 questions that you can download here on our website, AI-at-work, and it's 5 or 6 questions that you can, conversation starters at your team for your team meeting. That just talks about how your organization can look at AI as a team. Because I think, and I think it's going to talk to our next question, Wayne, how, I think we talk about how to balance AI with human, right? With human
Yeah.
relations or questions, right?
Yeah. But before we even get to that specific question, because it's all kind of bound up together,
Yes.
um, I was I had raised the issue of the ethical considerations,
Yes.
and what are those? What are some of those considerations that our audience needs to think about as they go about implementing these tools in their daily operations or in their workflows, et cetera?
Some of the ethical things. I mean, so we talk about the bias because that's a big thing. That's one of
Right.
the big things we're hearing. And like I said, having diverse voices there. If you're going to really embrace AI, knowing us is inherently biased. You do yourself a disservice not having a diverse group of people on these major decisions, right? So that's
Right.
that's the first thing. On the whole point of ethics, like last week, someone talked about how far is it going to go? People talk about plagiarism, integrity issues, and they were
Right.
asking good questions like, was AI was it plagiarism?
Right.
Um, and my answer to that is, and the ethical integrity part is, I think it's a gray area right now about plagiarism, because if you're putting in the prompt and it's answering you, it's really your content. But what I like to do, when, and I mentioned this last week, and some people found it helpful, I like to really make it my own by putting in my own stories and my own examples.
Right.
Which, by the way, on the ethics piece, even ChatGPT will tell you, don't put TMI, too much information in the prompt about you and about your company. So when I'm using company names, for example, if I'm going to use a client name, I'll just put XX. And so AI will respond to me with XX, because I don't want to put my business
Right.
out to that level. So on the ethical side, you're querying companies. You got to just be careful. You gotta. Someone said last week it's going to be a lot of litigation later on. Yes, maybe, but they have to first find out what the standard is and which rules are being broken. And right now, it's not clear. We
Yeah.
we just know about the bias.
And
Bias.
I think what points back to me is
Yes.
that um, it will force companies to be clear about their mission, their
Yes.
vision, and their values, like
Yes.
who we are, where are we going, what do we stand for,
Yes.
what's acceptable, what's not. Because look, if you're going to cheat before AI, you'll cheat using AI.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's one of those things again that there's certain things that are not going to change, although this is a huge technological upgrade that we're all getting, right? Or some of us may not want it, but here it is. And it may force us to actually be more transparent. And I think leaders and managers are going to have to do that. You're going to have to step up, talk to your
Yeah.
people and say, okay, look, here's what we stand for. Here's how we handle these situations. Here's our policy. You have to go look at it and, create a
Yeah.
policy, but it might open up some room for more communication, which kind of gets us into the next question.
Before we go to the next question, David was asking, and Wayne, you're an attorney. You're not a copyright attorney, but you've done some of that work. He was asking, is there any copyright concerns?
Yeah,
And
big time. I actually follow a woman on Twitter, formerly Twitter, now known as X. I believe she might be on LinkedIn as well too. Her name is Chris with a Kris Kashtonova, Kashtonova. Well, Chris was one of the first people to actually create an AI comic book. So she had a very simple concept comic book that she created. Had the AI draw the pictures. I think it was Mid Journey was the AI that did the pictures, and Chat GPT may have done the text. And she shot it off to the copyright office to go get a copyright. And they said no, and they cried foul because they said it was not an original creation of hers. So she actually got a lawyer, and they pursued the case. And I'm not sure where it is today, but I think there was a compromise of some sort where she was given a copyright for her original thoughts and the text that she wrote that came out of her brain. But like some of the imagery and so forth that was created by AI could not be attributed to her because she didn't draw it. So
Yeah.
that is still an area that is emerging, and also related to that okay, the AI is drawing from the collective, input, right? So, well, it's drawing from a lot of copyrightable or copyrighted material. So what part of it, is an infringement on someone else's rights, and what part of it is fair use? So yes, there's going to be a lot of entanglements going forward in this area.
And then Cruz agreed with you. Cheaters are present everywhere. I look at AI as a composite. So I'm not quite sure they're going to prove copyright because it's all of our thoughts,
right?
Thrown into this big pot. And and AI is taking bits and pieces of it. And that's the reason why I think we go back to those 3 C's, Wayne. We talk about communication, leveling up your communication skills, your creativity, and your competence. I think it's so important that the more of you that you can put into what AI is giving back to you, you're going to be able to stay clear of that. The more of you can put in. David says, thank you, Wayne. I feel there's a huge misconception that everything on the web is free to use. It is a misconception, but here's a problem, David. Even though there's a misconception, and I know that there are actual buttons you can press to say, can I use this? Can I not use this? People ignore those buttons anyway, and they just use what they use. But I still think it's going to be very challenging to prove foul currently with AI. But on the integrity side and on the trying to be like, the most ethical that you can be, put as much of you as possible. I mean, we've all seen, and I know I have, and Wayne have seen, even today on LinkedIn, I saw a post, and in the body of the post, it said, insert company name here. So I know that person used Chat GPT to ask a question, and they didn't review it. They just copied and pasted it in LinkedIn. And as I'm reading the post, I'm like, it says insert company name here, and I'm thinking, ouch, ouch. We can't be sloppy. All right, Wayne, let's get to the third and final question.
Yeah, so we'll get down to.
If you have any questions, feel free to ask them before we go. But we have one more question that Wayne's going to ask. Yeah.
And the final question is about something I'm sure a lot of people here are very concerned about. And again, you get carried away with, the Terminator and the rise of the machines and all of that. So we could go way out there in the Terminator scenarios, but we are concerned about maintaining a human-centric workforce. So talk to us about that, Sharon. How do we keep a human, use AI to its maximum and get the benefits from it, but how do we maintain a human-centric workforce and culture?
Well, Wayne, as you know, I'm passionate about leadership and team culture. It's what I do, right? So it's my world. It's my, it's what my coaching thing is. And when I thought of this question, what came to my mind is this, right? And it's going to take culture shift and culture change. So it's going to require the head of the organization all the way down to embrace what I'm going to say. So if you decide as an organization to adapt the AI, I think what we could use that extra time for, because AI does cut down on time. It does. Especially, for example, if you're in the marketing department, you have to write copy. AI cuts that copywriting time down significantly. It just does. It does. It cuts on the thinking time. It cuts on all of that. So if you're using it smartly. But what do you do with that extra time? So some companies are like, well, we can lay people off, we can fire people, and that's going to happen no matter what we do. However, we can use that extra time, for example, to reach out to customers. How about a conversation to the end users? Because
Yeah.
now we're so busy working and we're so busy with tech and working that we have less time. Everything is robotic. Talk to your customer via robotic,
Right.
robocall. But
Yeah.
how about having real conversations with end users? How about saying thank you some more to your customers? How about reaching out and just interacting with customers some more? How about interacting with your team members some more?
Yeah.
On a human level. So I see the upside of AI as giving back time to the employees. I know when I was working with a medical organization, right, and when we were having discussions, one of the things that the doctors were saying is that AI is giving them more time with patients,
Right.
right? Because of all the paperwork that they're bogged down with, that they can now have AI help with, it gives them more than the 15 minutes that they currently have with patients. So there's
Right.
a lot of upside to it. And I think if you take that example from the doctors, medical people, nurses, etc., it's the same in your organization. AI gives more time to the team to actually have collaborative conversations.
Yeah.
And like I said, customer-centric solutions as well. So you don't have to fear it, but collectively as a team, it has to be embraced as this is what we're going to use it for.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that a lot. I'm sure, it will continue to evolve and more uses will emerge. But in the short run here, I really
Yeah.
like the idea of using it, leveraging it to do the heavy lifting. Because maybe something that if it took 100% effort and AI can get you 80% of the way there, then maybe it still requires a 20% of you to get it done. But that's 80% that you saved. So how do you reuse that time? Well, put it back into your customers. Talk to your customers, talk to your people, do some team development, do some things that are in the what we call in the quadrant 2 box, Sharon, that
Yeah.
box that you never get to, but that has the biggest impact on your business or on your organization. You can get to some of those activities if you can get AI to clear up some of the clutter in the other boxes.
Yep. And when I think I've covered, what we want to cover today.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone here has a question, but this is what we do. Like, we mentioned, both of us actually coach, leadership and teams. We do leadership development, team culture. I work a lot with CEOs and help them with their strategies and their vision. So that's what we do. If you guys need us, let us, reach out to us via LinkedIn. I actually just launched this nonprofit group that we are going to be, putting on a group coaching program next January for those in the nonprofit space. This is a pet project of mine. Nonprofits make a lot of impact. They're very purposeful, purpose-driven, purpose-centered. And so I'm trying to help some nonprofits, level up their game, level up their technology, become more efficient with their fundraising, become more efficient with their leadership. So if you guys need more information on that, reach out to me on that. I would love to help you. Group coaching is starting next January for that. And let me just see. Cruz said consolidation of duties will be unavoidable. I'm guessing like with the automatic doors, before there was a need for a person, but not anymore. Unprepared individuals won't be kept. That's for sure. That's the message here, Cruz. If you're unprepared, you will not be kept. Try to make yourself unfireable. Writers to become editors to create a better direct message. I'm not quite sure what that means, David, but
Yeah,
you
well,
can.
maybe what David is saying there is you can get the writing done, but maybe you need a human as an editor to humanize the initial product, so to speak.
And I think that would be again an opportunity in the AI space, because as AI becomes more pervasive, everyone's using it, as it becomes more widespread, we're going to be able to identify the AI clunky language, the highfalutin salutations. And what we're going to need are people who are great editors who can edit that AI content into something that's a lot more personable. And
Yeah.
so I have a link here.
Greetings, Earthling.
Yes, yes. I have. We have a link here too. If you want to be a guest on our show in the future, there's a link in the comments as to how you can apply to be on our show in the future. Any closing words? Any closing words? And David said that was correct. That's was correct. You interpreted what he was saying correctly. So yeah. So but goes back to the skills needed in this era: communication, because a good writer would be beneficial. A good writer turned editor would be beneficial in today's AI world. All right,
Yep,
Wayne,
absolutely.
give us your final thoughts here before I say goodbye.
My final thoughts, it's a brave new world. You got to embrace it. We've been through these moments before in history, right? And at the time, people wanted to hold on to their horses, but then, automobiles were coming along, and, we kind of want to hold on to the past, but the future is emerging. So I'm excited. I've been using AI in many different ways, and I'm still challenging myself on how I can use it more to get more of that productivity, to do some of that stuff that David was asking about. And it's also too, Sharon, fostered a season of learning, right?
Yes, yes. And
So
and,
the
and
way
that's true.
yeah, go ahead.
No, what you said that season. You and I have been having this conversation all weekend about knowledge and learning and leveling up
Yeah,
skills. And I made a post that we can't pour from an empty cup. We do a lot of teaching, we do coaching, but we have to fill back up too. And it's just, I feel like I'm entering a season of even higher knowledge and higher
yeah,
learning. And it is where we're at as a society, as a world, right?
yeah,
Those who know, they're gonna eat first, right? They're gonna eat first. So hey guys, if any of you guys want to reach out, I have a 30-minute free discovery call available. You can book on my calendar or just DM me, calendar.com faith-based coach. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back next week. I think we're going to be done with the AI conversation for now. Next week, we'll have something else. I think maybe something on team building, team culture. And so I have a couple of good people that I'm looking forward to speaking to on that. Wayne, thank you so much again for being here. And all of you guys who are watching, both on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. If you're team replay, if you're watching after 2:45 p.m. Eastern, you're a team replay. But we'll still answer your questions in the feed. Take care for now. Bye.
bye-bye.